video, we are going to dive deep into central San Antonio, Texas.
Are you talking about Alamo Heights?
Totally talking about Alamo Heights.
Great place, I love that place. Alamo Heights is one of our favorite neighborhoods to sell in. It definitely has that small town feel, and I mean, very picturesque roads and walkways. I mean, it's great community to just, walk around, and you always see families on their bicycles and with their kids and stuff like that.
Mature trees, beautiful older homes. I mean, there's everything. Let's talk about the houses. I mean, the style of houses there range from everything from the cottages to plantation to...
Gosh, you have mid-century modern. You have it all in Alamo Heights. That's the great thing. There's such a diverse architectural styling that is just evidenced throughout so many areas, and of course price points. Alamo Heights is considered one of the most affluent areas here in San Antonio. I mean, let's face it, when people talk about Alamo Heights, even outside of Texas, a lot of people know what we're talking about.
So I would say it's like the Highland Park of San Antonio.
That's great.
And I mean, what the other thing that's great about, it's just it has a lot of sense of community there.
There's great restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the restaurant scene is amazing, but because of course the proximity to the Pearl. So there's a vibrant community shopping. I mean, the Broadway district that just has like any shop that you would want, and it's more mom and pop stuff. It's not national chains or anything like that.
And I think what's really, really awesome about Alamo Heights and what brings so many families there is their school district. I mean, it is a nationally ranked school district. And so actually they even have a tuition program if you're not in Alamo Heights, but a lot of people flock there for that school district, and the camaraderie of the parents lived in Alamo Heights, and it was like they all helped each other out. They picked up each other's kids, they took them to the barn, they took them to activities, everybody knew the coaches, what was going on with the school, the teams. It was just a very intimate setting for a good sized little city, because it's like a little city almost in itself. Well, Terrell Hills actually is its own little city.
Right. Well, next we actually talking about Terrell Hills. We want to talk about Terrell Hills.
Terrell Hills also has some of the most expensive real estate in San Antonio. They are everything there. I think the median price point there is about $575, all the way up to estates. Like you can get up into $5 million. I feel like there's a few houses there.
Easily.
But again, you get all kinds of different modern type homes there. A lot of people, there's like a lot of lots that have been available, or homes that are just older and dilapidated that people have torn down, and those lots are a premium. So they build a beautiful home on those. So there's a lot of modern.
For sure. Yeah, the lots, definitely come at a premium. Just a couple years ago, we sold a tear down in Terrell Hills, and it was right at $1 million for the tear down. So the home that would have been built on it, or actually that was built on it, was in the multiple $1 million of price point. And just so you understand, Terrell Hills is like right next to Alamo Heights, so it's not like it's miles and miles away. The proximity is close, so you still have access to all of the same shopping and fun things that we were already discussing. Oh yeah, the golf course, the Brackenridge Golf Course, the Brackenridge Zoo, the park and whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. The San Antonio Zoo.
The one difference about Terrell Hills is, though, it is its own city. So it has its own police and it has its own fire department. So one thing I do like about Terrell Hills is they're always driving around. So it just makes everybody feel a little bit more safe, a sense of security, knowing that they have their own police looking out for them.
Yeah.
So Terrell Heights is kind of an intro to the Alamo Heights, Terrell Hills area, which you could probably still get in there in the high threes.
Oh, yeah, easily.
But you might have to do some work on some of the houses. But it's more affordable, obviously, than Terrell Hills and Alamo Heights. But it's a great place for young professionals or first-time home buyers starting a young family. But most of those homes are on the smaller side. There's
a lot of ranch-style homes as well. Smaller single-level homes.
Yeah. But I want to talk about like some of the outskirts of Alamo Heights, and Terrell Hills. That's kind of the hub in the middle. But there's some really cool little sub-cities around there, or subdivisions that are really fun. And I kind of want to start with Manky Park.
Manky Park has like this really interesting history. It's very, very close to Fort Sam Houston. Mm-hmm. So, for many, many years, there were lots of the military people that would live immediately off base in that Manky Park area. Mm-hmm. In the past, it was a questionable area. Just call it like it is. Everyone knows the history there. If you live here in San Antonio, but it has exploded to this vibrant community to where you just get really cool craftsman style homes. Of course, you get some new construction, and then you get a lot of the craftsman style redos. I think it's a fun, hip, happening place, and it's even closer to the downtown area from a proximity standpoint.
We've sold homes there for some young doctors, some RNs. So it's kind of a young professional area.
Right.
That's kind of cool. And then going next to Manky Park, there's another little tiny subdivision. It's just kind of, it also has its own history. It's called Belmead. It's very unique, and it's like literally right by Fort Sam Houston as well. But those homes, I mean, they're like all over the map. There's everything in there. It's like a hodgepodge of different types of houses. Like you can have a beautiful plantation house, a little ranch style, something that's, like older, like more like Victorian. It's just very, sporadic on what kind of house is there, but it's its own little niche, and not everybody knows it's there.
I think in the past, when we were talking to one of our clients who we sold out there, I believe like a lot of the higher ranking officers lived there, in years past because of the proximity.
Yes.
So, and again, all of these things are just still so close to one another, so it's not like you're driving 15 or 20 minutes to get to this next area that we're talking about. It's literally minutes away. So you still get to enjoy all of the same things that we've been talking about in regards to your grocery shopping and dining experiences and things like that.
But you have to pay attention to school district, because that actually falls into San Antonio.
Yeah.
So make sure when you're looking, you have to think about your budget, like what you can afford for the house, but you also want to think about your school. If you are going to do private school or tuition school, that you also add that into your monthly
budget.
Yeah. So let's talk about Northridge.
Northridge, we've actually had many sales in the Northridge area, primarily single level. In my opinion, Northridge is like the elevated version of Terrell Heights.
To me, it's where a lot of the parents live, It's
sure.
because one thing, it's a multi-generational area, and most of the people in there have been there forever.
Yeah.
It's like 2, 3, 4 generations worth of people.
Yeah.
So Northridge is more affordable. Like you said, most of them are single story. I would say they probably around 400, probably.
Yeah, 4s to mid 5s on average.
And every once in a while, like you'll see a rando. I know I saw one in the MLS the other day. It was like $1 million. It was absolutely stunning. But that was, still that one falls in Alamo Heights School District.
Right.
So again, we're talking school district that's going to bring up the price of these houses.
Yeah, when you were talking about how the dividing line could be one street, that could be the difference of, could be $100,000 in value from one house across from the other.
Exactly.
They could be literally identical homes.
Right.
It's just that big of a deal.
Yes, so that's something to really pay attention to. And then not so far away is Almost Park. It's on the other side of the Almost Park Basin. So it's down, if you look at 281, it's on the
right-hand side.
The west side,
Yeah, the west
going
side.
south. And so that area is also really cool, and it has a lot of history and some beautiful homes.
Some stunning estates in certain areas of it. I mean, to me, it almost like, I feel like I'm going back in time just a little bit, to a much more relaxed, chill vibe. It's a really cool community with some stunning real estate.
Yes.
And like a lot of mom and pop shops too.
But they also, part of their territory falls into Alamo Heights School District as well. And then talking about school districts, so there's also the middle school, or the elementary school rather. There's Woodbridge and Cambridge, so there's 2 different elementary schools. They're both highly sought after, but certain people prefer one over the other. So that's another thing to consider. Even if you're in the Alamo Heights School District, you might end up, at one of those elementary schools. To give you an idea of the other opportunities for schooling in the Central San Antonio, there is Central Catholic Private School, St. Mary's Hall, which is very highly sought after school, and
Keystone, which is a little bit south.
It's a little bit south, more towards, but not too far, and it's like a #1 ranked school. I mean, it's amazing. So there's a lot of opportunity for private school, especially if you want to be in some of those sub areas that don't actually fall into Alamo Heights, and you don't want to pay the tuition there. There's other opportunities for your kids to go to school as well.
Let's talk about fun stuff. What's the fun stuff to do over there? I think one of the most recent additions to San Antonio, the Museum, that was just such a home run for San Antonio to create that space. I remember when Christian was younger, we would take him to the museum, and he just had a blast. Across from the museum, I mean, you've got the San Antonio Zoo, the Brackenridge Park area, which has been around. I mean, heck, I've been going there since I was like a little, and so I mean, I've got some great memories over there. All the biking trails, I mean, all of that San Antonio has to offer. The McNay, of course, the McNay, which is actually going through a massive revitalization right now.
Right, it's beautiful.
The San Antonio Museum of Art is, not too terribly far from there as well.
Just a lot of places to do things on the weekend, and you're not too far from the Pearl. You're not too far from, we have this amazing place called the Pearl that has a 5-star Diamond Hotel Emma, which brings people in from all over, and it's absolutely beautiful. So you're not far from all of the fun there, and all of the great, the Culinary Institute and all the great food, and you're not far from downtown at the Riverwalk. So it's just a really great place, and we might have to tell you that you're super close to the airport.
Yes.
So it's really literally like seconds away, but you literally can, jump on a plane if you need. We do have an international airport here for those of you that need to travel internationally. Pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
Hopefully post-COVID. But yeah, so we do have the international airport close by. But the other things we have that is so different is some of our shoppings. Like we have it's kind of like a Whole Foods Central Market. It's there. It was kind of like cool before Whole Foods was cool.
Right.
But Central Market,
which they call the Gucci Bee.
But there's a few HEBs. There's just a lot of unique things.
Yeah.
It's its own community, which I love. It's not so commercialized. It's very, like you said, mom and pop.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hopefully this gave you a bit of insight as to the Alamo Heights area and the surrounding, little pockets that are in that, geographic footprint. We love selling there. It's super fun. There's just some great real estate, and there's just some great things to do in that area.
And one thing to consider if you are moving in from out of state, you have to consider there's a lot of off-market properties there. So because there is a lot of older money there, and it's, like I said, we talked about earlier, there's a lot of generations that have been there through the years. There's times where people don't want their houses on the market. People don't want other people knowing what they have. So they keep them quiet. And so it's really, agent to agent. So if you're thinking about moving into the area, it's really good to get with an agent that knows the area well, knows the other agents in the area, so that they can show you those properties that are not listed. Because you don't want to miss out on a great property just because it's not on the MLS.
Exactly.
So. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was really fun, and we're going to try and hit more neighborhoods.
We will have more information for you. So I'm Robert.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we are with the RoPax Group
at Alamo Heights Portfolio.